Thought for the day. Take care of the minutes, and the hours will take care of themselves.
Welcome to 7 Minutes for Yourself. I'm Christina Aina, and I'm so glad you've joined me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. Let's take this time to reconnect with ourselves and improve our well-being.
In today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself, we discover some game-changing strategies to increase productivity at work. Have a listen.
You're probably here today because you want to know how to prioritize your tasks at work to be more productive or to be more effective. In any event, I want to just jump right into it today. And the first step is to begin with the basics. The first thing that you need to do in order to prioritize your tasks are to get a general sense of what your actual priorities are. This means that you're going to do two things. First of all, you're going to look to the goals that you've actually set for your professional growth. If you haven't already set your professional goals, I definitely recommend that you check out my goal setting video, which I'll link up here and in the description down below. You don't have to jump away and watch that one first, but check it out if it is something that would help you. The next thing that you need to have is the actual success metrics for your role. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I am a big fan of having open conversations surrounding success metrics before you even accept a job. If you haven't overtly had this conversation with your manager or human resources or whoever sets them, what I would suggest is actually going to your job description. Your job description should include the key deliverables for your role. Depending on what your role is, your success measures are going to be different. You may have KPIs or key performance indicators. You may have MBOs. You may have quotas. There's all sorts of different measures. Know what the actual measures are that you need to at least meet, if not achieve, in order for you to get where you actually want to get professionally. Make sure that you take note of exactly what these are because they are going to be very important for us to move into the next step, which is to create your task list. No matter how you go about doing it, you're going to take a list of everything that you do. You can do this in a spreadsheet. You can write it on a list of paper. Heck, you can write it in hieroglyphics if that's what makes sense to you. The important thing is, for all of your goals and all of your requirements, you need to define a list of every single task that you need to undertake at any time in order for you to actually accomplish that goal. Don't forget to include the things that arise that you need to attend to. It might be phone calls, it might be emails, it could be Slack messages. Make sure that you take time to write down as many as possible. I got my start on my list here, but one thing that I do want to point out is that sometimes it's actually really hard for you to think about all of the tasks that you have going on. One thing that I recommend is as you work on this list is to make sure that you keep it beside you for a few days. Then you can actually add to the list as you actually go about your day-to-day work life and make sure that you've accounted for the things that are coming up at least most often. This is not going to be a full and exhaustive list about everything that you actually potentially could be doing. These are going to be the things that come up most frequently that you're responsible for on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis so that you can effectively move into the next step, which is to actually create your priority matrix. I actually first learned about this in The 7 Habits, which you might know is one of my favorite books. But the thing is, we need to really be honest and take a look at our task list with a critical eye to determine what is truly important and what is truly urgent. Urgent and important tasks are things like an urgent request from your boss, a client crisis, a technical outage. These are all things that are both urgent and important for your company as well as for your career success. What you may notice, and it's probably going to be items that start to occur further down the list, is you do have a lot of tasks that are important. In fact, they may be a lot more important than some of the tasks that are living in Q1, but they are not urgent. An easy target for this one, your own professional development. It's super important, but it feels really not urgent against some of the fires that you're fighting on a daily basis. This is really the quadrant that we want to be working out of if you're following the 7 Habits and Stephen Covey's philosophy. Essentially, Q2 is where you're able to be proactive as opposed to Q1, in which you're really being reactive in most cases. Or maybe you ended up in that reactive state because you were procrastinating, but that's a video for another day. This is going to bring us into Q3, which is our tasks that are not important but are urgent. Email inbox, Slack messages, I'm looking at you. Q3 is what I refer to as the time sink. It's the time that you spend at work, which is not actually moving the needle at all in terms of your career growth or really in terms of your company's long-term success. But it's the tasks that are urgent. They do need to be done, or we at least have the sense that they need to be done. And really going through this exercise and identifying the things that are not important but are urgent is our first step in being able to prioritize them effectively, which of course we're going to come back to. Now, finally, we have the tasks that are not urgent and not important. Think checking out your Instagram feed while you're at work. Wow, I'm already live on my new website. LOL, cats. These are the things that are essentially time wasters. They offer no productivity, they offer no level of urgency, and if Q3 wasn't moving the needle, this is probably going to be the tasks that are moving the needle in the opposite direction from where we want to go. With a priority matrix squared away, you actually now know the things that you were supposed to be focusing on and are really going to have the best impact for you as well as your company and your team. What are we going to do with that information? First of all, we need to find a way to move out of Q3 as much as possible. So for all of the time wasters and the time sinks that you find, is there a different approach or different strategy that you can take in order to essentially deprioritize these seemingly urgent items? This can be as simple as having dedicated work blocks for checking your email and for checking and responding to Slack messages. In the long term, it is also things like saying no to work that isn't actually going to be relevant to what you're doing or not impactful to the career that you actually want to have.
That concludes today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. Today and every day with your kiddo is a gift. Enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in.